Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 8 ideas to homeschooling kids that are multiple different ages in multiple different grades and how hard that sometimes can be. So I'm just going to give you a few of my ideas, tips, thoughts, whatever we can categorize them as. So if you enjoyed this type of content and other homeschool and lifestyle content, please remember to subscribe and let's get into it. First of all, I just want to start out, this is not one of the tips or thoughts or ideas or whatever. Just saying that I do not know all the answers to homeschooling kids that are multiple ages and multiple different grades. It is difficult. It's a struggle. If you have all the answers figured out, please let us know down in the comments. And if you just have other suggestions, that would be great. We'd love all of the different experience everybody's had. I know I appreciate it. I'm sure other people that come across this channel appreciate it as well. So put those things down in the comments. I'm just going to share today some of the things that we have done that have been helpful for us, and that maybe will be helpful for you and they might not, depending on what stage you're in and how your kids function together, and all just different factors are involved, but hopefully they will be helpful in some sort of way. My first thought is that certain stages are easier to homeschool in than others. And what do I exactly mean by this? So kids, I had 4 kids in 5 years. And we were done having children. And so once my youngest got to an age where she was able to sit still a little bit easier and participate, it was very easy to do like group work and stuff. But she basically got to that stage right as I ended up with a surprise 5th baby. And so there's a 5-year difference in between those two, my 4th and my 5th child. And then we had a 6th one pretty quick after the 5th one. And so it was getting to an easier stage because all of my kids were kind of in a similar grouping. It is very difficult now to homeschool. It is sometimes getting better and sometimes not. Sometimes it's easier when you have like a newborn if they're a good baby. It's hard if they're not. But if they're a good baby, because then you can just like cuddle them or they'll sleep or something while you're doing homeschool. I feel like having toddlers is the hardest, and having multiple toddlers is very tricky. And especially when you have older kids, because that is where we are right now. So my main point here in bringing this up is that certain stages of homeschool are going to be easier homeschooling multiple kids than others. And as they go through these different stages, all of a sudden it might be easier. It might be like, oh, this is so nice. And it's like quieter. It's easier to get through group work and like enjoy those moments. Because then if you do have another baby or something that disrupts that, it can be a little bit more complicated and hard. And there isn't anything really to do about it, like besides go through it, right? There might be some ways you can get more help. I do have my husband at home that he helps a little bit. And I'll mention some of these things a little bit later. So you might be able to get some sort of help, but basically you just have to go through the stages. So sometimes homeschooling multiple kids can be easy. We're going to put it in quotes because I feel like it's still hard when you have to keep track of everybody and make sure that they're all progressing towards like through their schoolwork like they're supposed to. But there's stages where it can definitely be easier and ones when it's really hard. And like our group work right now sometimes goes pretty well, and sometimes it's just so loud and we're trying to navigate little kids and they're screaming and they're fighting or they want something to eat, and there's just kind of a lot of chaos. And so we try to just do the best that we can, and knowing that eventually we will be out of this stage and hopefully it won't be as chaotic as it is right now. Okay, my second thing is to have older kids help occupy or teach younger kids. And this can look different. So sometimes, even today actually, my 10-year-old was helping my 8-year-old with her language arts. She can do some of it by herself, but some of it requires a parent or a sibling to help. And so he was going through some of the things with her, which then helps me because I don't have to do so much after I get through everybody else. Or if I'm taking care of my 2 little kids, then they can help with those things. It also might look like a few times, I think last year when we were doing group work, my 8-year-old, she was 7 at the time, and she would participate a little bit, but it was kind of, she was like in this in-between. She still kind of is in this in-between stage where she participates in group work, but some of it is just still a little bit difficult for her to fully participate. And so if my littles were being insane and it was like a nice day outside or something, I'd be like, just take them outside. Like, we just need a few moments of quiet to finish up what we're doing here. So just take them outside. Or if I am not ready to get to helping my 8-year-old yet, but I need her to help watch the other kids, I'm like, can you watch them while I help someone else with their schoolwork? And then I will come help you, and things like that. So just kind of having those older kids help with younger kids has made things easier on me as a homeschool mom. The third thing, this has been a game changer, is to set out homeschool curriculum the night before. This includes things for your littles to do. I am not always great about doing stuff for my little kids, but this last year, probably it's been about a year, I've been really, really good about setting curriculum out. I hadn't been as good about it before that. It was kind of every once in a while I do it or whatever. And this last year I was like, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna make sure things are prepped the night before. Occasionally there's still things I need to grab in the morning, and I might make a note to myself to do that or something, just because I don't want it sitting out all night. You know, maybe it can't, or maybe I don't want my littles to get into it in the morning if it's for a science experiment. So I just remind myself either on our whiteboard or in my notebook to grab whatever thing it is in the morning that we need. And it has been so helpful. It's so nice. Like, in theory, I have time in the morning to set things out. But really, once things get going in the morning, any mom knows, it just kind of becomes chaos and everything gets sucked up real quick. All your time just kind of disappears real quick. And so it's nice to have everything prepared, and it only takes a few minutes most of the time. Some lessons require a little bit more prep, but for the most part, it's like 5 to 10 minutes, set everything out, write the agenda on the board, and it's done. Obviously, setting out stuff for the littles takes a little more time, which is why I'm not always great at doing it, but it also makes it easier the next day, because then when we're ready to start group work, I'm not like, okay, let's get in the closet, and they're getting in the closet trying to find activities and everything that they can do. So just making sure you have some sort of plan, even if it's just very simple, like throwing out some Play-Doh real quick, or some magnets, or maybe something they can color, you know, just something real quick the night before that they can come in and grab, and you guys are good to go. That is so helpful when you have so many kids to worry about. Believe me, it has changed my life this last year with homeschool. It has made everything run so much better. The fourth thing I already sort of alluded to or mentioned is to have a helper of some sort, or your spouse if they can do it. So I've mentioned several times that my husband is a college professor, and he has a very flexible schedule. I'm like, he's still supposed to get work done. But his schedule is extremely, extremely flexible. And right now he isn't, like, in theory working at all. He's on sabbatical. And so he still has some things that he is doing, but his schedule is just so flexible. And so that has blessed us a lot, because if things are really bad or going really crazy a particular morning, he can step in and help. I don't like to ask him for help, because again, I know he has things he needs to get done. But if my littles are just being insane, my husband can take them downstairs and he can still do some work on his computer while they're playing and stuff like that. And so then it's quiet for us. We can get the rest of our schoolwork done without them being crazy. Or if I'm having a hard time with one of my other kids, he can step in and help with those things. And he does step in and help with schoolwork in the morning, like while I finish getting ready, because I'll do scripture study and work out. And my workouts usually overlap with the time the kids are eating breakfast and starting schoolwork and stuff like that. So he helps with all those things if he's home. Occasionally he's traveling, and then we just adapt and figure it out as we go. So having some sort of helper, whether we've never hired someone to help. I know some people do that for just short amounts of time, or if they have little kids to help watch the little kids. There's also, if you have a family member that lives close, we don't have that option, but there probably is a lot of people that do. Maybe they can help out, or you can like trade. I'll help watch your kids this day, if you can watch mine this day so that we can have some quiet time to get schoolwork done. There's a lot of different options of ways you can make it work and it not be like expensive and things like that. The fifth like idea or tip I have for homeschooling multiple kids is to send those younger kids to preschool. I know some people are like, probably having a heart attack, but this is something that has helped me so much. We didn't start out with the plan to homeschool, but we have been homeschooling my whole, like my oldest whole education career basically, except for preschool. He went to like a month of kindergarten and stuff. So he went to preschool. My daughter that's just younger than him was already in preschool when we pulled him out of kindergarten, and she was doing really well with that. And it actually provided really nice time for me to spend with him. And I still had some other little kids at home, but it was a lot easier to be minus a child and to work with him than to have to occupy everybody. And that was something with my third child. He went to preschool for almost 2 years. My three oldest went to preschool for 2 years, and COVID happened for my third child, which is why it's an almost 2 years, because then it shut down in March. So he didn't finish those last couple months. But it was so helpful because he was really crazy, like a really crazy child. And he's being, like, my fifth child is giving him a run for his money. But at the time, he was my craziest child. So having him gone in preschool was so helpful. It made everything so much quieter. Like, I still had my fourth child at home. She was just a little baby at the time, but she would sit and play quietly and all these things. And so it wasn't hard to like navigate her. Having him gone made it so I could focus on my two oldest and help them with schoolwork without so many distractions. And we would usually get schoolwork done while he was at preschool. And so then the same thing with my fourth child. She went to preschool just for a year because COVID, so she went right before she would have gone into kindergarten instead of when she was 3 as well. She went when she was 4. And that went really well. Again, it just took out an extra child for me to have to worry about. And so I'm really excited. My fifth child would have gone this fall. We were trying to get him into preschool, but then also we're now going to Africa. And so I didn't push for it too hard because I knew we might be leaving the country for several months and stuff. So next fall, him and my sixth child will go to preschool, and it will be so helpful because my fifth child, he's 3.5, so he'll be 4 in January. He's a lot he's a lot of a child all in one. He's like all my kids pushed into one child. And so it will be really nice to have a break from him because he is so loud. Whereas my 2-year-old, she's very calm and quiet and will sit and play and everything like that. So if you need it, send them to preschool. I know it costs extra, and we found a preschool that is really close. That was part of we have to find a preschool that is within our neighborhood, basically, because there's a few that are in town that people really like. But with homeschool, I need something I could give my kids something to do for a few minutes, leave, go drop them off at preschool, and be back a few minutes later, so that it wasn't totally disrupting our morning. That wasn't the intent. It was to be helpful. And so we found some neighborhood preschools of people that just do it in their homes and things like that. And that's worked out really, really well for us because it's only a few minutes away and it doesn't take away from our homeschool time in the morning at all. The sixth thing is to do homeschool during nap time. This is funny for me to mention because I don't particularly love this, just because the big chunk of nap time is in the afternoon, and I like to do schoolwork in the morning. That's when I just like to be productive the most, at least when it comes to homeschool or doing things around the house. I like to do it in the morning. That's just me. I just am that person. And so nap time when littles are very little is helpful in the morning because they'll usually take 2 or 3 naps, right? So you can still plan to do schoolwork maybe during a morning nap, which is what we would do. But once they only take 1 nap a day in the afternoon, I do not change our schedule to do homeschool during that. But sometimes you might need to if it's insane and people can't focus, and maybe you have other things going on outside the house that you like to plan during those times that aren't nap time, right? Because you don't want to disrupt nap time. So then nap time might be the option for homeschool. But you can utilize that time when you aren't having to take care of those little kids or having them constantly distract you. So that might be a good option for some people that like to work during that nap time. My seventh thought or idea is to create independent learners, because having little kids is just hard. Like, they just require a lot. Even once they start school, they require a lot. It's harder to focus on your big kids because your little kids, everything is dependent on you. They are not reading well yet, right? They don't understand math well. They can't go through the lessons all by themselves. And so through that process of them learning, start to create independent learners. Help them see, like, okay, what can you do by yourself? Let's see. Let's work through this. You can try to do this part. And continue that process, right? It's a little bit at a time, line upon line, just this little bit at a time until they can look at their lessons and mostly do them by themselves. I know some of my older kids' lessons still require like sentence dictation or something from us, right? So there's still little things we have to come in and help, but for the most part, they're self-starters and they will go start their schoolwork. They'll go through what they can go through, and then I'll help with whatever they need help with. And so once you do that, it becomes so much easier to homeschool multiple kids. If you create independent learners that are self-starters, then you don't have to do so much work. So start doing that when they're little. And I'm not saying like you're abandoning them in what they're learning or anything like that, but just teaching them, oh, I think you can work on this part by yourself. How about you try it and we'll see how it goes, and then just keep building on that until they realize that, oh, I can actually do a lot of this by myself. And then you will be experiencing so much freedom as a homeschool mom. And then the eighth thing, I have mentioned this so many times, I have videos on it, is establish routines. Routines. I cannot say it enough. Like, I feel like this is key to my success as a homeschool mom of 6 kids. Like, teaching multiple kids in multiple grades is very, very hard. So having routines helps us so much, because then my kids will get up, they'll do their chores. Again, this doesn't always look perfect. They're still kids. They still need to be reminded about what they're supposed to do. And sometimes we expect them immediately just to figure it out, but they just don't always. And so it does take a lot of work. And there's always seasons where I'm like, have we not been doing this for 8 years? Like, how have you forgotten this is what you're supposed to be doing? Hello. And so that still happens. We're not perfect over here either. So don't even think that we are, because my kids still have to be reminded. But establishing those things where you get up, you get breakfast, you get ready, you do your chores, you play the piano if you play the piano. Like, not all my kids play the piano. And then you start your schoolwork, and then we do group work. Like, we have a process to the day. They have chores at dinner time that they do, and then they have bedtime routines that they do, right? There are certain things that have been established that help everything flow better and that help take some of that stress off of me as a homeschool mom. And I know some people aren't crazy, strict routine people, and we still have leniency in our routine, but even if you just kind of establish some guidelines for the day of how the flow will go and things like that, and maybe if you need, this person does their schoolwork at 10 o'clock. This person does it at 11. And this is what you're going to do during that time while I'm helping this person do their schoolwork. Like, establishing those kind of guidelines and boundaries is very helpful for you and for your kids. They thrive in that kind of environment. You don't, again, have to be so strict that it's like, we cannot deviate from this. But giving them some sort of boundary, and yourself a boundary, because you deserve a break as a homeschool mom, as a mom in general, you deserve a break. And so giving some sort of guidelines and boundaries is very helpful. So establish those routines. All right. I hope you'd enjoyed this video of 8 tips or ideas I have for homeschooling multiple kids in multiple grades. I just want to say that sometimes it's going to look absolutely crazy, and that's okay. Like, it's going to be insane, and you're like, how are my kids learning anything? You will be surprised what they can learn even in those very crazy moments. So just keep pushing forward and keep trying a few maybe little tweaks or something. Ask for some help. And remember, a lot of things are just, they come in seasons. So if it's with little kids, you'll push through it, and then it won't be as crazy. Different things will just come up. So just remember that, and it's okay. if it looks absolutely insane at some periods. And if you enjoy this type of video, remember to give me a thumbs up, and remember to put your comments down below of things that have helped you homeschool multiple kids, because that's helpful for all of us. And I will see you next time.